Hi, good afternoon. I started to come on here and talk to you guys about how you can tell if someone is false, as far as the people who help to remove spell work and do deliverance and whatnot. But I cannot do that because it's like a Moses and Pharaoh type of situation. I don't really know what all to say as far as that go. Um, it's like Moses, and when Moses went to Pharaoh and Moses was performing miracles and Pharaoh's team was doing the same thing. They were performing the exact same miracles that Moses was doing. So if I give you guys a answer to that, it's going to make the real ones look false as well. So they stirred themselves in the pot with the real ones, and you just would have to. This one of those things where you just would have to use discernment, or you just would have to take a chance, I would say. But I feel like too, you would also have to know what is a demonic practice or something before you jump into something with somebody, and what qualifies it to not be. And I was saying to you guys too that I don't think nobody should have to use any of your hair, any of your body fluids if they were going to really help you. That sounds extremely witchy. The hair thing is how literally how the girl was able to put spell work on me. It's just too, it's witchy. And Miss Williams has never asked me for any items of mine or nothing. It really don't require that if they have authority for real and they're able to call out those demonic spirits and to break the roots off of you. It doesn't require them to have any objects or bodily fluids or personal things like your hair, your crown or anything. I was wanting to give you guys answer to this for actually years. It's been years, and I just cannot do it. I can't do it, and I had to come to that conclusion that it's going to be difficult to say, as far as a spiritualist go, as far as a person who calls themselves a psychic or whatnot, because the demonic do the same thing that a lot of the real ones do, and they are operating under a false light. Even though it's a false light, it's still a light, right? So it's hard to determine which one is the real light and which one is the false light a lot of times, especially when a person is in darkness and they don't know what's going on. They don't know anything about these things, and they don't know what to do. They don't know who to go to. They really don't even know what's wrong with them, which was my case. So I was very lucky and blessed to have found Miss Williams like that, and finding her was like finding a needle in a haystack. And it's amazing that I even found her, because I was in darkness when I found her. But as I stated before, when you are in darkness and you see light, it's easier to detect that light, because your life has been so filled with darkness to where you just know, you'll have a knowing that it's a light that's going to be good for you instead of bad for you. I also want to go ahead and tell you guys about this. There is a time for me to put out certain stuff, so I think this is the time. It feels like the time to say this. um the Bible does say that we should not consult with spiritualists and whatnot. When you look at the Bible though, and you see look at who God was talking to and what was going on during that time. God was talking to the Israelites at the time when they were in the wilderness with Moses. And so at that time, the Israelites didn't need to go to anybody. They had Moses. They had him. Moses was talking directly to God. He was on the mountain talking to God, and God was giving Moses direction, answers, letting them know what all they needed to do. Everything. They didn't need to go to nobody else. They already had Moses. So that was one of the reasons why God told them not to do that. The other reason is because of where they were when they were in the wilderness, in the area that they was in. They didn't, if they would have went to anybody in that area, they'd have been going to one of those false lights I was talking about earlier. And those things are detestable to the Lord. The practices that those people in that area was practicing was not the practices that were connected to God. And this is why God told them not to do that. The people in that area that were practicing spiritual practices, those practices were not connected to God. And those practices were, they were getting their knowledge from the demonic realm and not directly from God like Moses was. So that's what made it detestable to him. They were reaching out to other gods for answers, false idols, and outside sources for answers and for practices and healing practices and things. But they were getting their things from the demonic, in which that's what made it detestable to God. So it's okay for you to seek out help. You just have to know where to get the help from. And that can be difficult as well, because it's not many out here that you can literally trust like that. And there are a lot that are out here that you can trust too, but what the enemy will do a lot of times is put blockages up there where you can't even find the right people that you need to find. So that's why I was telling you guys that I was glad y'all found me, because I know that the enemy can put blockages where you cannot find the people that you're supposed to find, and you would just keep running into false practitioner after false practitioner after false practitioner after another. And if you actually see someone with light for real, and you like, that might be the person that you need to go to, which would be me. If you found me, is what I'm talking about. Or if you found someone else, and that may be the person for you that's supposed to help you. Because with what I'm doing over here, everybody not ready for that. Okay, everybody's not ready at all. The more I learn, the more I realize that I've been wanting to tell y'all this, but like I said, there's a time for that. But you can definitely seek help. It's just where you're getting the help from. Because if I would have never sought help for myself, I would have never got out. I just so happened to run into her the second time I actually went out there and actually went to someone. I went to one other person before Miss Williams, and it wasn't helping me that I could tell. I didn't feel a big difference. I felt something, but it wasn't a big difference as when I went to Miss Williams. So I didn't really get a chance to. I didn't go through that whole false person after false person after false person. But I also noticed that there was a timing. There is a time where the door opens for you to do what you need to do, and that's an opportunity for you to start up everything right then and there. And you have to take that opportunity, because the door do close and something shifts in the spiritual realm, and then you end up having to wait until the next door opens. So you have to catch that right time for you to start up with certain stuff. But for those of you who also don't really have the means or the financial right now, just by you even knocking on that door, God will make things move for you at a certain time. It's a timing thing. And once you get it, though, you have to take it and run with it for real. Or you have to wait some more and all of that. And I had to figure that out when I was in my journey. Even with me doing videos, there is a timing and a door for me to do them. And then once I do that, then it's better. It just shows more results for me and for other people. And that's the time when more people will reach out, and it'll catch the right people when it needs to catch them, is when I post certain stuff at a certain time, right? So it's the same with this too. But yes, y'all, you can seek help from people. It's just God was talking to the Israelites during that time, because they was in real bad shape. They was in really bad shape. They had been enslaved for all of those years. They needed Moses. And that was all they needed, was Moses, to help them, because Moses had direct access to God, and those spiritualists did not. So that's the reason why. And that's what Miss Williams do. She has direct access to God, and that's who I ended up finding around that time. So that's the difference, okay? I hope this helps. I just want to clarify and kind of clear that up a bit, all right? I love y'all. Bye.